The mayor leaned his forearms on his knees and stared down at his clasped hands.
I heard through a reliable source that Roxanne Spar went to Officer Cruz last night and filed a complaint.
Roxanne was a 30-something waitress at Mickey's Bar and Grill who dressed like a hooker, but her sharp tongue and short temper typically kept potential gropers at arm's length. Roxanne had also taken on a second job this past year at Whistler's Pub in nearby Marfa, which Josie had heard through the grapevine was the mayor's weekend spot. About what? Josie kept her voice level, free of judgment, though she already suspected sex was involved.
She says I'm harassing her, stalking her, for God's sake. The whole thing is ridiculous.
His voice got louder. In his mid-40s, Moss still had a thick head of brown hair, and he ran his hands through it when under stress. Josie watched him as he did it now. She hadn't remembered such deep-set wrinkles around his eyes and the corners of his mouth. His eyes were puffy and red, and he looked as if he hadn't slept well in days. She wondered if his wife figured into the drama. Rumors floated around town that she was ready to take her money and move on to a more lucrative investment. Why don't you tell me how all of this got started?
It started with me trying to do the lady a favor.
He sighed heavily. Josie couldn't help feeling that his reticence was part of a calculated act.
I went to Marfa last week with some guys to celebrate Joey Gunther's birthday.
He finally went on.
You know him?
She tilted her head. Vaguely. I know who he is.
There were 8 of us. We went to Whistler's Pub, that old man dive bar in downtown Marfa.
She nodded. She had visited Whistler's to interview the bartender for an investigation about a year ago. Dimly lit, sticky floor, tired waitresses, and a jaded bartender. She figured Roxanne had been hired to breathe some life into the place, and it sounded like she had.
We got there about 10, drank some beer. By midnight, things started to get a little crazy. Some of the guys were talking to a group of women across tables, drunk talk, yelling back and forth.
Friendly yelling?
Sure, it was friendly,
he said.
We ended up taking both of the pool tables at the place. Roxanne was waitressing, but she's joking with us all night long. She's friends with some of the other women, so she's passing out free shots.
He paused and gave her a look like he didn't really want to go on with the story.
Thing is, she was hitting on me. Big time. It got awkward if you want to know the truth.
What did she do?
At one point, we're playing pool. The lady leans over the top of me, her arm over mine holding the cue stick.
By lady, you mean Roxanne?
Yeah, exactly. She's basically lying on top of me, so the guys start blowing me.
He paused.
Blowing me grief. I'd try to get her to back up, they'd laugh and egg her on some more.
Why didn't you leave?
I tried to. I drove me and 2 other guys. Every time I talked about leaving, they'd harass me. Come on, one more beer, that kind of bull.
She nodded, keeping her expression neutral. The mayor had a reputation in town as a skirt chaser, but Josie was never sure if the reputation was deserved or if it was his lecherous personality that got him into trouble. She couldn't imagine any woman finding him attractive, but she wasn't exactly an expert when it came to romance. Josie glanced at the clock on the wall and saw 10 minutes had passed. Dillon would just be getting out of the shower, and she hoped he wouldn't come into the living room. The conversation was awkward enough as it was. The mayor continued his story.
Finally, the bar closed at 2, and I told the guys I was leaving. They said they'd get a ride home with someone else. I don't know where they went after Whistler's, but they didn't ride home with me. Then outside in the parking lot, the waitress asks if I'll follow her home. Said she hated driving all the way to Artemis so late at night. Nothing between here and there if she had some kind of trouble. I actually felt sorry for her and followed her home to make sure she made it okay.
He shook his head as if he couldn't believe it. Josie nodded again, though she wondered if he really expected her to believe the story.